don't stop. Grind don't stop. Grind don't stop. Grind don't stop. Grind don't stop.
Hello, welcome back to Chewed Gum. Today is February 4th, and if you would like to call in and talk to us about purity culture, talk about sex education, we could talk about religion things. We love when theists call, so give us a call at 720-619-2288. My name is Alyssa, and I'm a sex and relationship coach. Which way? This way? This way.
I am Promise. I almost said Eve. Even I am still adjusting. But I'm Promise. You guys, if you know me, then you know me from Eve Was Framed. And I mostly talk about being an ex-evangelical. And here I am now hosting on an atheist call-in show. So some things happened.
Some things
How are
happened.
you doing? We got to chat earlier today because we're working on the podcast, which for those of you who don't know, The Line has a podcast. There's new episodes Monday mornings, Friday mornings. It's a good time. Well,
It is a good time.
it's actually a terrible time with what we're talking about. But we have a good time having the worst time together. So
Correct. I was just saying to Morgan that it's hard because, well, we were talking about if you could like choose to have brains, beauty, or like to be funny, basically, like if you can't have all of them, like whatever, that kind of thing. And I was saying, I think that if I could have more of one, I would want to be more funny because I don't think I want to know anymore. And I'm good on that. Doing the show now twice a week, I'm like, I now know too
you've
much.
maxed out on new information.
I've maxed out on new information. I would like to know less, actually. It's just a lot. It's just been a lot. And like every day, it is more and more stressful. And I don't know what to do aside from just yap about it with my friends, which is what we're going to do.
That's what we've got going on. It's a fun time. We'll also read super chats of $5 or more at the end of the show, which we always love. Getting to chat with you guys. If you have any questions that you don't want to call in with, that's a good place to put those. I don't know. Do you have any super chat prompt for tonight? Obviously, you guys can super chat whatever you want, but I was trying to think of something, and my creativity was not there.
I'm trying to think of like a good, I guess like we can ask if would you rather be more funny, more smart, or more attractive, and why?
That's great. Yeah. I want to hear it. I'll save my answer for look at me looking at chat, by the way, this is why I can't do it because now mid-sentence I'm seeing that my audio is at a lower bit rate and I don't know what that means. I'm assuming it means I don't sound great. So
you sound a little muffled.
That's interesting. Let's make sure that my mic is coming in on the right thing. I'll let you chat for a second. I'm going to check.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh,
maybe
you
it's
want to
going
know
through
why,
your
guys?
AirPods.
Because it's going through my AirPods. What is happening here?
Oh my
this
God.
Should be
okay.
So much better. I'm going to refresh. You guys get to chat with Alyssa for 0.2 seconds.
Yeah, we'll do a quick little yap because I had really bad tech issues when we were doing the podcast. My computer, the one that's I'm currently doing the show on, just decided it it tapped out. It didn't want to be a part of this any longer. And it just like started being so slow. I literally could not use it. So it seems like it's okay now. I have it on like a little fan thing and it seems to be okay. And then it was like, I had to do the podcast on my phone and then my phone was dying. So we had to like take a break so I could charge it. It was literally like, it felt like the equivalent of like walking through 10 feet of mud to just get that one episode done because I was like, this is crazy. I've never had so many tech issues in my life.
For you.
I felt bad. I was like,
a trooper.
You guys were being troopers because you had to deal with all of it. It's like, this is crazy.
I just had to sit there, so.
I know. Did you end up watching some of the Grammys?
Adventure. I did. It was, I'm going to be honest, it was pretty boring to me. I did love Doechie's performance and Charlie XCX, just because watching Charlie XCX's performance, all I could think about was how infuriated all the like purity culture people were, who I'm sure were like, this is just satanic worship and this is so evil and bad. And it's so fun to now watch stuff like this post-Christianity and just think that it's fun and enjoy it for what it is, which is entertainment. So
it is. It's so much fun. And I didn't get to see Charlie XCX live, but I saw clips of it, and I saw clips of Chapel Roan too. I want to see the whole performances, but they're not easy to find. But I did feel a little.
See, Chapel's.
We were still doing the podcast when hers was happening, but I felt a little weird about how often they were asking for money from people for the LA fires. It felt a little, I was like, are you really
wild.
Asking people at home? I'm like, I'm sitting in my house in my pajamas, and that's a room full of people with like
millions of dollars on them.
Yeah. Millions of dollars on them and also in their bank accounts. And I'm sure like you can't ask every individual to fund every single thing. But I was like, it feels a little bizarre that you keep asking all of these people at home who can like barely pay for cable to watch this program. Like,
yeah. Yep. That's like when they also go on there and thank God for the award they won while raising money for the wildfires that God did not help anybody with. So
I know
the out of touchness. I mean, it's Hollywood. What do we expect, honestly? So,
right. It was even like Doechii even said it. She was like, I asked God to show me that like this was going to be worth it. And here I am. And like, I appreciate the sentiment there, like that you put your faith in the process and whatever, but like you worked so hard for this. Why are you giving all of the work and all of the time and energy and sacrifice that you put forth and giving it to this random man, allegedly? It's weird.
That's rough for me. I can't do it. But, it was still entertaining, some of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was really hoping Taylor Swift was going to drop Reputation. That's all I want. I'm just waiting for that.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. So here we are.
Yeah.
But I see we've got a couple of callers. However, we don't have any theist callers. And that's always a delight. Wishful thinking.
We do love love a theist caller.
We love an honest theist caller. So if you want to call and give your reason for why you believe in a God or why you think we should believe in a God, which I think that's the title of the episode today, is Should Women Be Believers? Should we believe in a God? I'd love to hear your reasons for that. So 720-619-2288. And we will prioritize theist callers as per usual. But we have some other ones.
Yes.
So.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Should we start taking our calls?
We
have some calls that are also coming in too that are like oh no, never mind. Those were terminated. Never mind.
They did not pass the test.
They did not pass the vibe check, so that's okay. Speaking of the vibe check, actually, we have a really wonderful screener today. Her name is Jess, and we're very grateful because she came in kind of last minute. So thank you for coming
You're the
in
best.
and screening.
Thanks to
That was
all of our producers and mods and everybody that volunteers with the line and works with the line. Y'all are super appreciated.
Yeah.
We would not be here on this screen
I don't think
without
that
you guys.
people realize 100%. I don't think people realize like how many people actually contribute to making this whole thing work and make it like a very seamless. It's actually, I didn't realize until I was a part of it, and it's really special and very cool. So thank you to everyone. And oh my God, there's so many people in the chat saying thank you to Jess too. I love this community. You guys are so great. Anyway, shall we take a call? Oh wait, you're muted.
Oh, great. I'm just complaining about how I still am learning how to deal with the camera and clearly the microphone and all the things. So that's just further proving what we're saying here.
That was so funny.
Oh, every time, guys.
That was so funny.
Yeah, I'm down for a call if you want to be the one to push the buttons, because apparently it ain't me.
Okay. Do you have a preference?
I'm good with whichever.
Okay. Let's pull in Giddy into the chat. We've talked to Giddy before.
Let's do it.
Hi, Giddy.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hey
there. I always get more and more nervous every time I call.
Every time.
No,
I would imagine you would get less nervous.
It's because we're so mean and crazy.
Well, you said it. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I got this. All right.
You got this. You got this.
Okay. No, that's just a lot more pressure. Now I don't got this.
Here's better feedback for it. You don't have to got this. We can have a chat about it. You can be like, I want to think about it and call back, whichever. But it says here that you have a question about whether or not religion has become a secondary factor to the religious issues it's driving. I think I kind of understand what you're saying, but I'd love to hear you expand a little bit more on that.
Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah, so basically I have a family member who doesn't go to church or read their scriptures, but who still emboldens their religious views through like political commentators and like pseudo-intellectualism, a lot of culture stuff. But, so like if that's, words. So he checks in with his non-religious in-groups for morals before he checks in with his religion. And I'm wondering if like atheism works when like Christianity in this case isn't even a main religion in his head, as far as I can tell. Does that make sense?
I think so. Are you asking basically about the utility of atheism? Is that more what you're getting at? Or because for me, the reason that I speak out against religion or the issues in religion, there's two main reasons. Number one, I think that it has so many harmful aspects, and that's what we talk about. And a lot of those are cultural issues or things that impact kids. The other reason is because I don't think it's true. And I want to live in a society where people value believing things that are true. So I don't think that atheism has anything to offer. I think it's just a label we throw on something to say we're not a theist. But I don't know if I'm heading in the right direction of what you wanted to talk about. Alyssa, what are you getting out of it?
I do feel like a little unclear of what your initial question was, but if Promise is on the right track, I think if you are choosing to believe in a faith, it gives you a lot of answers and a lot of comfort for things that feel unanswerable, like what happens after you die and that kind of stuff. And choosing not to believe in those things mean you sort of like rid yourself of those answers. And that can be really challenging and tough. So when we're thinking about like how helpful or like the utility of atheism, there is sort of like a lack of answers in that way. But I also, like Promise said, there's comfort in truth, and there's comfort in also like not feeling like you owe someone anything, not feeling like if I don't go to church on Sunday, I'm in trouble or whatever. It's just, there's also like, it's, I don't have to have a transactional relationship with a thing that I don't believe even exists. I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question or if we're like on the right track.
You're on a lateral track, but that was still very insightful. I guess I was trying to describe. So there's this thing I think of, which is that a difference in degree can be a difference in kind. So how I would tackle someone who is involved in Christian nationalism, or I would treat differently from someone who is religious in another way. And my question more is about where someone, like the example of Christian nationalism, like if someone is very Christian nationalist, should where more so national, should I pivot to
I see what you're saying.
Nationalism before I deal with the
Yes. Okay. Sorry that I missed that. I mean, hopefully what I said still somehow made sense. But yeah, so I have friends that are religious, but they are anti-Christian nationalists. And so we basically agree on 99.9% of things. And therefore, I have zero reason to poke at their God belief. They are practicing it in a way that doesn't impact other people negatively. They are doing their thing the way that they do it. And I don't feel the need to poke at that. I have friends, just like what you're saying. Well, they're not really, I've had friends. Clearly, I'm not like their favorite person now, that have not been very religious. In fact, I was the religious one for years and years, but they've gone down this Christian nationalist route, more the nationalist thing, just like you're describing. And that's what I target when I talk to them. So yes, absolutely. I agree. I think my concern with religion is the harm caused to others. So I want to focus on reducing that. And then if we ever get to the point where I can even help that person, start prioritizing believing true things, because ultimately I think that's going to benefit them more long term, then we can get there. But I'm with you. Yes, if you're going to start somewhere, let's chip away at the worst parts first that are impacting others, that are giving them motivation to attempt to control others. The problem is some people, those things are so intertwined. Like the reason they think they have the right to be a Christian nationalist and to go legislate other people in a negative way is because they think they have this God-given authority. So in that case, it is more helpful to go after the God belief first. So I think that's just up to your discretion to try to figure out like where are you more likely to be able to start changing this person's mind so that they cause less harm to others? Does that make sense?
Yes, that's actually rather helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, that's my thoughts. Alyssa, do you have any thoughts on that?
I agree, and I've said this before that I'm not really particularly interested in convincing people to not believe in what they want to believe in unless it's harmful to other people. Like, it doesn't bother me that people believe in God in general. It bothers me when people are trying to impose that belief on other people, whether that is through legislation or just through evangelizing or whatever. That is where the line gets drawn for me. So like, I have no interest in debating a person who is of faith that wants to continue their faith, unless, obviously if you call into the show, then you're trying to like bring a debate to us. But that's the format that we've created and the platform that we've created here. and the context that we've created here. So I agree with everything that Promise said. It's about the nationalism. It's about imposing those beliefs on other people. That is way more of a problem to me as well.
Okay. I think that, oh gosh, that's a lot to think on. I'm currently thinking about it.
Yeah, and feel free to go
Okay.
listen. When you're on the call, sometimes it's harder to pay attention anyways. So feel free to go listen to this again. There's probably going to be people in the comments and in the chat, which I'm still terrible at paying attention to, despite my best efforts. I'm sure there's people offering some other good advice in there as well. But I also will tell you there's a book that my friend wrote, April LaJoy, and it's called, I've talked about it before, but it's called Star Spangled Jesus. And she is still a Christian, but it is an anti-Christian nationalist book. And it's excellent. It's also hilarious. So I highly recommend that to anybody that has religious family members that are going down that nationalist path, to kind of offer them some information on that. That's a fun, good read as well. I've heard from several people now that I've recommended that book to, that it helped their family members start changing their mind or help them have a good conversation. It helped one person I heard from. They said that their mom changed their vote and decided not to vote for Trump after reading it. So
Wow.
that's another resource for you. But it's Star Spangled Jesus by April LaJoy. And because it's by a Christian, it's so much easier to suggest to people, because then they don't have this whole like, oh, it's an angry atheist trope, you know?
Yeah, I do have one more question, but I can probably save it for next week. Yeah.
Sure. We have time if you want to ask it, or you can save it for next time.
Oh, okay. Well, seeing that I'm here, might as well. Yeah, so tangentially related. So there's a broad spectrum of religion and religious people that I've encountered. Some are progressive, some are like, political in their motivations, others other things. And it can be very hard for me to distinguish what is their main core of their ideologies. So I'm wondering what that looks like for. So I basically have a sample size of one family member who is just extremely political and Christian, and I live in Utah, and that skewers my the data that I get. What is the spectrum of Christianity outside of my bubble? Because I'm unaware of it. Like, are more people progressive Christians or nationalist Christians? I don't know what that looks like.
If we're talking about in the U.S. Only, because that's going to look different all over. Let's see. Let me pull up from Pew, because they've got this research. But I want to say that you've just got such a mix, because the other thing that we have on the rise is people that put non. So maybe they consider themselves to be spiritual or like a Jesus follower, but they don't consider themselves to be religious. So from my anecdotal experience, we've got everything on both ends of the spectrum. However, you tend to see, and that's what I want to pull up this research report, you tend to see more denominational Christians that will say, I am a Christian, on the more extreme right side of things. But let me pull that up. I don't know if Alyssa has a follow-up question while I pull it up.
I don't. That's an interesting, I'm curious to know too, actually. And it's interesting because when we collect information like that, it's survey data, and it's like, so it's how they're self-reporting, like what their beliefs are. And I'm curious, of those people who say that they are Christian, how many of them are going to church or evangelizing versus like the Christians who just go to church on Christmas and, call it a day. And, I don't know. I'm curious to know what the split is now too.
Yes. Okay. So here I've found it, and I'm gonna try to find a way to put this in chat, which will be really amazing. But from Pew Research Center, Protestants mostly align with the Republican Party. They remain the largest single religious group in the US, as they have for most of the past 15 years. A majority of Protestant registered voters, 59%, associate with the GOP, though as recently as 2009, they were split nearly equally between the two parties. So that has happened more and more, which totally makes sense. It checks out with everything that we're seeing now. And they also have the GOP has the advantage among Catholics as well. So I'll put this study in there, but I don't know if that answers your question. But the cool thing is we can look at numbers that give us a pretty clear picture. However, there are a lot of progressive Christians too. There's so many that are advocating for actual what I would consider the better principles that Jesus had to offer. They're advocating that they cherry pick the better parts of the Bible instead of some of the worst parts. And so I really appreciate that. I know that can get controversial in the atheist world. I get people mad at me all the time when I post with my friend April LaJoy. But we need Christians advocating for that, especially ones that are able to practice their faith, know that it's just a personal thing, and not force it on others, and advocate for people that are being negatively harmed by other Christians. And they can say, we're not okay with that. That's not what a Christian should do, blah, 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 blah. So I think that because we're seeing an increase on one side of the aisle from the Protestants there that are with the GOP, that's why we're also starting to hear more of these progressive Christians from this side saying, wait, I don't want to be a part of that. That's not the Jesus that I know. That's not something that I can sign off on. So I hope that they continue to get louder with that. I hope that they are the branch of Christianity that ends up winning out. I don't know at this point what's going to happen in the US.
Okay, thank you. So wait, is that, I heard that Christianity is in a crisis where progressivism is progressive Christianity is going extinct. So is Christianity not in a crisis?
I'm not sure. If we're talking about in the US, I don't know. I think that we're caught in this moment where that's kind of being determined. That's what we've just seen it based off of that research study, is that there has suddenly been an incline amongst Protestants and Catholics to go more toward the right. So, which right now that is meaning towards some of the worst policies that our country has seen in a long time. So, yeah, if I had to say, just based off of the information I have right now, I don't think we know. I think we're in the thick of it as to where this part of the culture war is going to go. And I think there's just as much of a chance as it's swinging back toward progressives as there is back towards, the more conservative, fundamentalist, extreme rights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm curious to see in the Trump presidency too, if the kind of extreme measures that the GOP is taking sort of in the name of Christianity is going to swing people harder for or against. What freaks me out is the amount of people who are before Trump even came into office started to kind of fall in line and do the things that they were anticipating he would please him. And so I don't know. Oh my God, the dogs are being really annoying right now. I'm sorry. They just keep shaking my camera. So I don't really know. It'll be interesting to see. And it really could go either way. Because there's also, I feel like every day I see people who are super young and super Christian. And I'm I'm shocked and I'm confused. I'm like, where are these people coming from? And then I see another part of like Gen Z, Gen Alpha that's like very awake and aware of the parts of that that can be really problematic. So I don't know. We shall see.
Yeah, that's part of what is at stake right now, amongst so many other things. So we'll find out together. But thanks so much, Giddy. I really appreciate your questions. Those were great.
Yeah. Thank you for the interesting responses.
Yeah, of course.
Thank
And
you.
I did find a way to paste that study in the chat. So if you want to go check this after the phone call, you can go see for yourself.
Okie dokie.
Thanks so much, Giddy. Have a good one.
Thank you, Giddy. Have a good night. Okay. We got a theist that also called in. So that is thrilling.
Let's do it. Before we do it, should I give the announcements?
Yes, ma'am.
As you guys know, like I said earlier, we do have the podcast. The Line has a podcast, or rather is what it's called. And that's Monday mornings and Friday mornings. Go check it out on Spotify. I would say, I don't want to say it out loud because it will activate all my devices here. But if you say the name of a certain device you have in your house and you say, turn on The Line has a podcast on Spotify, then you can just listen to us, which is so cool. I should
so cool.
test sometime on air and see if it works. But so we have that. Then we also have so we have tomorrow night the Hang Up with Matt Delahunty and Phil Ferguson. And then on Thursday we have TACIS with Josie and Luxander, which brings us to the Sunday show, which is going to be Matt. And then the Sunday show after dark, which is going to be Forrest. And I don't know yet who is co-hosting with either of them. Someone exciting, I'm sure. Monday, the 10th, we have Skeptalk with Forrest and Roxanne. And then that brings us back to Tuesday, which will be Alyssa and I back in action. I love that we've been able to do so many together.
I know. There was a whole...
Pretty good at that.
I know. And we're coming up on our anniversary too, which I think is the end of February. So I think we need to figure out anniversary merch / what we should do for our anniversary episode. So if anyone has ideas for anniversary merch, I know someone in the chat is saying I'm in an earthquake, but my dogs, usually they'll come up here and when they lay down and chill out, it's totally fine. But they've been going up and down and that's why it looks like I'm in an earthquake. But I think they're okay now. So hopefully no more earthquakes.
Honestly,
but if anyone has...
I want...
Yeah.
You finish your sentence and then I'll share what I want for our anniversary.
I was just going to say, we just need to figure out like if we want to do anniversary merch or if we want to do like a fun thing on the show. I don't know.
I think all of the above. Also, I just want Alyssa to be able to get a new laptop so that she can not be stressed to the max and not have all the tech difficulties that she's constantly dealing with. That would be amazing if we can somehow work that out. Maybe we can do like a super chat game fundraiser. Thing for you to get that. Yeah.
It's so like, and this computer's not, well, it's kind of old. I think I got it in like 2018. So yeah, I guess it's time.
And
it's crazy
that laptops go.
I know that's ancient. It's ancient. And it's mostly okay. It's only recently. It's just been, I don't know.
It's not happy with you. Not happy with you at all.
It's pissed. It's like, Miss Girl, you bought me to play The Sims and you expect me to do all of this? No.
So that's amazing. I just started playing Minecraft again for the first time in years. That's the state of my mental health right now. I was like, you know what I need to do? I need to dig in a pixelated world and build chicken coops.
I understand.
Panda Bear came and ate all my chickens today, so I'm pretty sad about that. So that did not help.
Oh no,
my
so
mental state.
I'm so sorry. That's so bad.
That's the announcements.
Those are the announcements. Shall we take our next call?
Let's do it.
Okay. Let's pull in Brenda, who is a theist. So we're excited to talk to you. Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. I was just calling because I saw that the topic was like, is religion good for women?
Yes. We would love to know your
And
thoughts.
I mean, I do think it is. I think that there can be a lot of harmful in religion, but just like believing also in other humans, like without religion, I think there could also be harm, you know? And I feel like sometimes a lot of
Oh,
Uh-oh,
did we lose
Brenda,
her?
we lost you. You might have to tap your phone. Brenda, we might have to send her
Just put her back in the
to
queue.
the queue.
Put her in the queue?
Oh,
Okay.
return her to queue, and then if we can get audio issues sorted, we can talk again.
Okay.
Let's see. Did it go?
Okay. I sent her back to queue. Should we pull someone else in, or should we try and pull her back in, or what do we do?
Let's chat with Jo while Brenda works on her audio issues.
Okay. Brenda, hang in there. Jo, we are gonna pull in Jo. Hi, Jo.
Hey, how you doing?
How's it? Good. How are you?
Pretty good.
Good. We're happy to hear
yeah.
from you. What do you want to talk about today?
So a couple of times when I've called in and we were talking about like the male loneliness thing, Alyssa mentioned the 4B movement, and it wasn't until like 2 weeks ago that I actually looked up what the 4B movement was, and it made me think about like the history of like sex separatism and like whether it actually works for what it's trying to achieve. And I was just curious on both of your thoughts, and or I can talk a little bit about the history of it, depending on which you prefer.
Yeah, I'm so to be clear for anyone who hasn't heard of the 4B movement yet, it originated in South Korea, and it's the 4 no's. It's a feminist movement, and it is no dating men, no marrying men, no sex with men, and no children with men. And it started I think in 2017. And then since the 2024 election, our recent election, people have talked about bringing the 4B movement to the US. I don't think it's like a movement that's really starting here, but it was a conversation that people had started when Trump got elected. And I will say, I don't think it's a good idea. I think it was actually Eve who brought it up, who brought it up at some point. And that like really changed my perspective when you had explained that if we are not having, if the only people who are having children are radical like right families, then we're going to have more of those people that are kind of like trolling around, which is not good. So there's that. And I also believe that we can't really be shutting out the entire male population that way. I think that's just not really a good option, and it's not reasonable. And anyway, I would like to know Promise's thoughts actually as well.
I mean, I still. What's the specific question so I can make sure, or do you just mean it in general about 4B?
I think we were just in general talking about 4B, and then Jo was going to share some more. Sorry, Jo, I interrupted you.
Yeah, so like 4B is kind of just the like branching off idea because it's the most recent example of like a sex separatism sort of movement. And so, yeah, you can talk about just the 4B movement or just having the sexes separating by their own choices. You can talk about either of those.
Yeah, as far as doing that by as a movement, I think I still feel the same way I did, where I understand why that has worked so well, as a movement in other countries that are smaller or less multicultural. We are an extremely multicultural country. It's one of my favorite things, or has been, about my country, is our embrace, or attempted embrace, from some of us. And that makes it really difficult for massive blanket movements like that to work and not, for lack of a better word, backfire on certain people groups, or cost certain women more because they're willing to do the work that other women aren't. So that's my problem with some of those calls to action, is that oftentimes the people that end up following through on them take the brunt of all of this, and it doesn't pay off, and they've sacrificed a lot for nothing. This is not like some dogmatic view I hold. I can easily be pushed back on that. That's just my initial thoughts. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if you're talking more about safe spaces for women or things like that too. I think we have talked with you a little bit about that. And
yeah,
I think organizations and private companies and all of that, people that want to do that, I have no issue with it. I don't personally. That's not like when I hear, it's going to be like a women's only museum or something like that. Like I'm not just like, yes, I needed that. But I recognize that there are some women that do feel that way and do really appreciate that. Just like some nights I do want a girls' night out where I go with some of my girlfriends and the boys are not there. But I don't know. I don't really have strong enough feelings personally to hold a very strong opinion, other than I support things that women want and need.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think.
I do.
Sorry, Joe. I was just going to say, I think generally I agree with Promise that there's going to be times where like a girls' night is really fun, and like being able to do stuff with girls only is a great time, and like girls only gyms are lovely and like that kind of stuff. Like I think there's moments where it almost feels like the intention of all of these things is more important than what is actually happening a lot of the time. Like the purpose of a girls' night is like to have a night where you're just focused on friendships and focused on like one specific group of people, and a girls' gym helps girls feel safer in that environment and whatever. And so it's understandable to want to have those spaces that feel safe for specific gender groups, particularly for women who often do feel unsafe. But I don't think that progress is going to come from being separate all the time. It's not even that I don't think.
I agree with that.
I know. It's just not going to happen. So we have to find ways to be on board with each other, because it's just not.
Yeah.
We're not going to find progress. And there was a conversation that we had recently with Pandemonium. And I was thinking about when we were talking about how, and this was a conversation in the chat as well, where we were saying like well-behaved people rarely make history. And I agree. And it's sort of like the way that we make big change is by creating kind of like a big commotion out of all of it. And we still are having conversations today about racism in our institutions and sexism in our institutions. So like, yes, it works, and it doesn't change the ideology enough to have it stand on its own. Like we have to have a bit of both. Like there has to be the noise, and there has to be the like upset of saying we can't accept the world as it is right now, and have that be the vehicle for change, or have that be the motivation for change. But the vehicle can't just be this, because it's not going to really take us the full distance, I don't think.
Yeah, I really appreciate the way you said that and what you brought up, because as you're saying that, now I'm forming more of an opinion. I think, if I had to sum it up, I think that safe spaces for whoever needs access to safe spaces should exist. I think that's great. But as a movement, separation is, in my perspective, just reminding me so much of the religion I left. It's moving us backwards, because, I grew up where I wasn't supposed to like ride in the car alone with a man that's not my own husband. And like, you're supposed to have these very separate things. And, you know, they have the baby shower and it's all ladies only. And then they have like men's prayer night and it's all men only. And everything is supposed to be separate all the time. And then you have a group of men that don't know how to act around women appropriately because they're just treated basically like they never have to meet that standard. We should just always be apart. Unless it's, you know, someone you're married to or a family member. So instead of actually working towards learning how to navigate life together, we're just telling boys, you know, oh, you can't sit with us because you can't behave and we're not going to figure this out together. That's how I grew up in religion. And I don't want to see that play out in society again. That being said, if there's women that are like, I have experienced so much trauma, or just because I want to have these places where I don't have to deal with men. They are welcome to do that. I think do what you need to do to protect yourself. I just, as a movement, don't think that it's beneficial to the progression of society in general.
Yep. Makes sense. I do want to clarify that when I'm talking about separatism, in my head, it's different to safe spaces because for me, separatism is like moving towards spending your whole life separate from everything else, which is different to having a half an hour break from having to deal with men. I think those are two different things. Like, it's like it can be healthy and good to spend half an hour in a safe space. But if you spent a year in a safe space, there would be a lot of like social and like problems that would occur as a result of that.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I agree. And I don't, long term, I don't see that benefiting most participants. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for the interesting topic, as always.
Yeah. I do also want to just echo what Promise was saying. It's like my high school was a single-sex school. Funny enough, it was an all-boys school. And yeah, I could definitely relate to none of the boys there had any clue how to talk to women, how to be respectful and that sort of thing. You know, it's like just regular like playground chatter, not even locker room talk. Like locker room talk was worse than normal locker room talk. And then you had the playground, which was essentially on the same level as the locker room talk. And it was just horrible. And then when I got out of high school, I had no idea how to interact with other women. Yeah, so I definitely agree that in the short term, I can understand going for that approach and how it can be appealing, especially for people who've been traumatized. But in the long term, I agree with both of you that it would cause more harm than good.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's why we're here doing this. We want to create conversation. I mean, most of the viewers that we have are men. It just works out that way because of the line. But that's also why I love that Jimmy created this show for us to be the hosts on, so that we get to have these conversations and engage and be in each other's spaces. And I'm happy for that opportunity. So thanks again, Joe. Thanks so much for the good conversation.
Thanks, Joe.
Right.
We'll talk to you
Have
soon.
a good one.
You too.
Love it. Oh, I hear the doggies.
Do you hear her snoring?
I do. It looks like we've got time for one or two more calls before we get to our super chats of $5 or more. Shall we chat with Amir?
Yes, we shall.
Okay.
Let me
I see what they're calling for, and I'm going to have to direct the call a little bit differently because I'm not so interested. Hey, Amir. You're on the
Sorry.
line with Alyssa, where I'm just talking about you here. I see it says you wanted to talk about what is religion's place in the world, and I'm not that interested in that conversation. If you want to talk about why you think people should believe in a God, I'd love to have that conversation, but I guess I'll just ask you, what exactly were you wanting to talk about?
I mean, yeah, from a more practical standpoint, like if we can say that, like, if a hypothetical I would have put forth, if there is a creator, the one that like has created a human being, wouldn't the creator know the human being better than the human being themselves?
Well, for me to even like go down that path, I'd have to be convinced that there is a creator, first of all. So I'm not convinced. So I don't think that there's some religion that happens to know more about humans than they know about themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's something like it's a hypothetical, right? Like, if the whole point of the if is like, when I say religion, I wouldn't say that like all religions can be true. I think we can agree upon that because all religions contradict each other. They can't all be from the same source because they're like one's saying go left, one is saying go right. I was thinking if there is that
Yeah, we
one
have
true message.
a lot of contradicting religions.
Yeah. I don't think any two religions can be what's it called? What's the words? Used together because they're gonna clash. But I'm saying if there is that one true message, wouldn't it be practical to follow it? Because who else would know like the human being better than the one that made it from a practical standpoint?
To me, just right off the bat, the red flags would be, why is there a creator that created beings that don't know as much as they could know about themselves? Why did he withhold information? Why did this God decide that he's going to be a higher power? In which case, I don't really want to work with that God. I'd like to find some opponents and maybe go figure out, what I could without, because to me, it would then seem like that God is wielding this power and needing to have a hierarchy. And I don't think that's right. And I don't want to participate in that. So that wouldn't make me want to follow it because I don't want to be some subservient, citizen in this ant farm that this, dictator creator has made and is just experimenting and doing what they want based off of their own agenda. And meanwhile, I don't have my own ability to do what I want based off of knowledge I should have access to that apparently this creator has decided I don't get access to.
We have to be all knowledgeable to know everything. But since we are finite and not perfect, there are going to be limitations in our knowledge, and we figure things out as we go along. That can also be like another theological argument. You can't have multiple all-knowing beings or all-powerful beings.
Why not?
Why not? Why does God need to have the ultimate power over everyone else? Why can't it be like power with instead of power over?
Well, he has power, but he gives us power as well. Power and knowledge, capability. We have power, right, and capability. We have knowledge, but not all knowledge or infinite wisdom, whatever you want to call it. And we use that knowledge to move around through the world and stuff. But we say God is the ultimate source of it all.
But we haven't found a way to. God won't show himself and won't prove that he exists, which makes no sense to me. So we're meant to have limited knowledge and rely on faith because that's how this whole system was designed. And that doesn't really feel. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, your question too was, why wouldn't we want to then follow that, and wouldn't we think that's the better way to live? And that was my answer to you, is no, I don't want to follow a being that has decided it's going to continue this hierarchy of a God and its creations. I'm not interested in that. And I'm not interested in what that God has decided for my life. That's not of interest to me. And I don't think that's beneficial to society.
I think it's also confusing to me to understand, again, that this is a all-knowing being that has created this little world and like as a marionette where there's so much suffering. And like in the beginning of the show, we were talking about how interesting it is that when these musicians and very accomplished, talented people go up to accept an award that they put their blood, sweat, tears, and time into, and then thank God for that award. And then in that same show, we're fundraising for a fire that destroyed an entire part of LA County. So the homes of thousands of people and millions of dollars that need to be fundraised for that. At the same time, we're thanking God for them winning this award while these people are wearing dresses that are thousands and thousands of dollars. And this is something that God created, which is confusing to me. So I don't feel like that's a person that's creating in integrity or creating in love for the people that he's created. He's creating out of ego.
Yeah, so like, is your argument effectively, since there's evil in the world, there's not a God? Is that the argument?
No, Amir, you're getting off track here because I let you take the conversation a place where I told you I already didn't want to go, which is it good? Is religion, good for the world or whatever? And we both gave you our answers as to why we wouldn't want to follow that God's ways, because that's ridiculous that there would be the ways of a God. But now you're saying, oh, is that why you think there isn't a God? No, we haven't gotten to that. You need to tell us why you think there is a God, and then we can take the path down that conversation.
Yeah, I was going to, but you mentioned like was it the fires? I mean, I was going to go off of that. That's all, the fires and the.
But that's a good reason. That's a good reason to not follow that God. That's a great reason to not follow that God.
Fires, But yeah, going off of that, are you saying because there is wildfires and suffering, there's not a reason to follow the God? Is that the argument?
That is a good reason to not follow a God. If this God cannot even protect its own creations from its other creations, which would be a wildfire, then that's really not a being I'm interested in following. We both gave lots of reasons, though, and now you're hitting this one particular reason.
No, I mean, there are a couple of points that are made. That was one of them. That's why I want to address it. You mentioned that this God won't show himself. So, like, suppose hypothetically you could see God. Would you then believe or no? Would that be showing himself?
I would believe that a God exists if there was verifiable evidence that all could participate in. So if we could all see God, even then, I don't know about this whole seeing thing because we know about mass hallucinations. I guess if every single human being alive could see God and we could interact with it like any other being, then sure. But I would need really clear evidence that the only possible option is that it is a God, not an hallucination, not some kind of scam. I would need a really good reason to believe that a God exists, which that's kind of what I wanted to get to in this conversation. Oh, go ahead, Alyssa.
I was going to say the same way that we do scientific studies where they have to be, I think Arcana just said it in the chat, demonstrable, verifiable, and repeatable. Like that is how we define something that can be like if we can repeat this scientific this result, then we know that it's true. That feels like a similar thing that we would need to be able to prove that anything that's going to claim to be God will also be true. Which if we could do it with science, and we could do it with things like a gravity. Why is God more powerful than gravity? He says he is. So it should be that what we're asking sounds like a big ask if you don't believe in God. But if you do, that should not be hard for him to achieve.
Yeah, Amir, that brings me back to the initial conversation that I am willing to have with you, which is, what is your reason for believing in a God, and why should we believe?
I mean, I think we spoke before, so I mean, I'll stick with my original arguments, but I don't want you to think it's a script, because that's what I was accused of using. But I mean, if you look at the world around us, I think it was with you and Forrest, the idea of complexity and design. it was, I think it was also with Matt. He put forth a standard. It was basically, if we see something that is consistent, and as you guys mentioned, if it's just repeatable and consistent, and every time we do this experiment, we see the same outcome, then wouldn't it make sense then to believe in this thing always to be that way, or infer that this will be this way tomorrow? And when it comes to information and complexity, there is not a single example that I can put forth or anybody's put forth yet of where we find complexity with no intelligence behind it. So kind of like when it comes to the laws of logic, the law of identity, excluder middle, and the law of non-contradiction.
Wait a second.
Yes.
We don't. First of all, let me just let you know my stance on complexity. I don't think complexity equals designer. To me, the more complex something is, the more poorly designed it was. The most simple designs are the most efficient, which to me implies the highest amount of intelligence behind the design. So you've already lost me on that count. But I think I just heard you say something about we haven't seen signs of complexity without intelligent designer. What are you talking about? The whole entire universe exists, and you have yet to prove an intelligent designer behind it. So that's presupposing something that I'm not willing to agree to at all.
I'm saying that it doesn't negate a designer. Like that doesn't mean that there's no creator. That's the thing I'm asking.
I need you to prove that there is for me to believe something. I'm not going to believe something unless I have a good reason to believe it. So you saying, well, you can't prove that there isn't. That's not how burden of proof works.
Well, that's not. Well, you mentioned a point also about how you define complexity. You said complexity. The more complex something is, the more poorly designed it is. Is that what you mentioned?
Oftentimes, in my opinion, with what I've witnessed in life, yes.
Yeah, so is the brain poorly designed if it's complex?
I don't think the brain is designed.
I'm saying, is it complex? Therefore, is it poorly designed?
I don't know what I think about it. Complex compared to what?
Complex compared to the heart, compared to the stomach, compared to the lungs. I mean, I think it's to say that the brain is not complex would be dishonest. It's like the most complex structure in the universe with all the parts that we still yet to know about.
Can you define?
We know like 1% about it.
But there are parts of the brain that are. The brain is not a flawless design either. The brain is not
a terrible
flawless
design.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of things about our brain that is not well designed, pretty explicitly. So I don't think that this is really even a good example.
I mean, it can not officially, you can say, but to say it's poorly designed, I mean, with everything that it's like operating on our bodies right now.
I don't think it's designed. I think it has evolved to be this way.
I mean, yeah, if you could choose, if the word evolvement would be poorly evolved, then if you do agree it is complex, is it poorly evolved to like, is it non-efficient, non-optimal? But I don't think nobody would say that, right?
I think it is what it is. But we're just getting so far off track. I'm asking you, what are good reasons to believe that this creator exists at all? So far, I'm just hearing, like you said, well, I think things are complex and I think that demands a creator. Well, my response to you is, I don't think complexity demands a creator, and I don't think that's a good reason to believe in a creator.
I mean, I was going to bring up then with that, for example, the law of non-contradiction. We all agree upon that, but I can't give you evidence that it's true. The law of non-contradiction. The three laws of logic, we accept them as laws. But what evidence do we have that they're laws? I can't give you evidence that they are true, but I believe in them. Would you say that's a bad stance to take when it comes to that?
No, because I think the purpose of those laws is to find truth. Like those principles are what help us find truth. And that's not the same thing. Those are principles versus an omnipresent sky daddy who apparently created all of us. But created us to be flawed, and then we have to apologize for being flawed so that he'll let us into like his little Mile High Club at the end of our lives that he designed. You're talking about principles.
Yeah, and let me put it this way for you, Amir, because you keep taking this so far. Amir, let me put it this way for you, because this keeps getting taken so far off track. Give me a good reason to believe that I get to choose that, because Alyssa and I are the hosts here. So I'm going to steer this back again. Give me a good reason why I should believe that a God created the universe instead of, let's say, this being a simulation or part of a multiverse or something that that a little pink unicorn that is invisible and lives right next to me on my desk designed. Give me a reason to think a God did all of this and not any of those other things.
That's the reason I'm put forth. Like, if you're saying, unless you want to claim that pink unicorns are like superior intelligent beings, I'd ask you why do you believe in that, right? Like, what reason do we have, like Santa Claus, be or whatever, what reason do I have to believe in Santa Claus, you know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is, like, my phone, for example, as a creator, and I can infer.
Please don't do the watchmaker fallacy.
It's not about, I mean, does my phone not have a creator?
Your phone is literally made. This is a fallacy. I just had this conversation with somebody the other day. We do this every day here, and it's getting really old. And you've called in so many times now. I feel like you know this. And I don't think that you're wanting to engage honestly because you've had this conversation so many times, and it's gone the same way every time. That's probably why you've been accused of having a script. I don't mean a literal script, but your brain is set to, I have to continue believing this thing to the point that I won't follow the conversation through logically. That's what's happening here. A phone, we can look and go see who invented it and then who designed it. I can go right now somewhere and watch people sit there and make a phone. I can take it apart and see the parts that were made by other humans because we've witnessed this. This is the thing. It's not the same as a rock or a tree. Go find me the factory where the trees are being made and the God that's there making them.
Okay, so are you saying we have to see something to believe it? That would be my question. Like,
nope, I'm not saying that at all. That's not what I'm saying.
So me blindly.
So Amir, I'm unless Alyssa wants to continue this conversation, because I have talked to you a couple of times before, and because it does keep going the same way, which is where as soon as I try to ask a direct question, you just take it off track over and over and over again because you don't want to engage with the line of logic I'm taking you down. I'm just not interested in it because you've just responded to everything with either false assertions about what I've said, or you've raised a different question that has nothing to do with this. And so far in these 17 minutes, I still haven't heard one single good reason to believe any of the multiple claims you've made now.
I have put forth reasons, but you're not accepting is one thing. I haven't made a false assertion. I've asked questions, right? So I said, do you have to see something to believe it? I didn't say that you have to. I said, I have the question. So it's not an assertion, it's a question. So that was, so like, when you're saying that, I'm directly addressing it, basically. That's my question. You said I can go to the factory and see. So then my follow-up question, not assertion, but question, are you saying that we have to see it? If I take my phone blindly and look at it and assert it, now I'm asserting that it does have a creator.
So I already answered that. And it seems you were not listening. And then I also ended my answering your question with saying, I'm not interested in the conversation further, unless Alyssa wants to talk to you. So I don't know, Alyssa, are you interested in more of this, basically fine-tuning argument? Okay.
I think
if you want to go listen to this call and hear what I'm hearing, which is not answers, and then maybe you pick up on something that I've missed and you want to call back another time and say, look, this is the reason why I think you should believe that a God created all of this, or this is the reason why I think you should believe a God exists, or whatever it may be, you're welcome to do that. But when everything is responded to with a question or with, well, what about, well, this or that, are you saying that, then that's not giving me reasons. We still haven't gotten to the point where you say, here's the good reason. So
for the reason of complexity.
We'll chat.
That's
chat with you another time if you want.
Not a reason.
Yeah, we already addressed it, and I remember talking with you with Forrest. We addressed this over and over and over again, and it went the same way. So I'm going to let you go. You can try again in the future with another host, maybe with myself and Alyssa. But have a great evening.
All righty. You too.
Complexity is not a reason. That's
it's
crazy.
An actual fallacy that we've addressed a million times. And I want to go listen to the call with Forrest. As you can imagine, Forrest went after that one.
That's a perfect call for Forrest, actually. A perfect call for him. So wait, what is the watchmaker fallacy, that if you have not seen every piece of the watch be put together, how do you know that someone made it?
No, watchmaker fallacy, it's the fallacy that oftentimes you have theists bring up, where they'll say, well, a watch has a watchmaker, so the universe must have a universe maker. And you're comparing apples and oranges in this situation. Their whole thing they come at you with is, well, somebody said, if you found a computer in a cave, I think that's one of the conversations we had, would you think that it, just appeared there? Or would you think that it had a creator? I would think that somebody made the computer, but the cave itself, I wouldn't think that somebody had to have made the cave. I would think, oh, this might be like a natural thing that happened. So anyways, it's fun times.
That's the craziest argument I've ever heard.
It's weird though, because we were getting more interesting arguments this past year. And then all of a sudden the last few months, I feel like or last month or so, I feel like we've gotten so many of these like fine tuning and like some of these most basic apologetics arguments that obviously all of these are repetition anyways, but I'm like, is somebody making these terrible arguments popular again or something? It's fine. We can address them. I already know that we've talked to Amir through this conversation over and over and over again. And so I'm not interested in, I'd rather have that conversation with a theist we haven't talked to on the show before, because then that means there's a chance that they're going to engage honestly and think about what's being said. I think Amir is just here to, throw some apologetics at us, not to actually engage in the conversation, honestly. So
I wonder if he has in his notes app. I wonder if he has in his notes app like his top 3 arguments, and like when he doesn't understand the question that's being asked back to him, he just like goes to his notes app and he's like, okay, this is the one I'm going to do now. And then he just, because that's kind of what it felt like. The other thing too is a lot of the times where we have people call like that, like they're just not good listeners. Like you will have a full response and then they just, again, reading from the notes app and pulling the next thing out of their brain. And it's just not. I have a friend who's watching the show right now who texted me and said, it's 2:12 in Bosnia right now. I was like, that man should go to bed. Go to bed.
Wow.
Don't call us. Not with that. Not with that. Anyway.
Oh, yep.
Oh, wow.
I agree. Fun times. Should we do our super chats? And I think the ones that are left in the line, we can save for next week. I'm down to prioritize them for next week if you are.
Wow. I'm just seeing one of them. Oh man, I know that you're tired. I really want to take this Dan call though.
It's going to take 2 seconds, but we can try.
Let's just try because
Okay.
I feel like we've had a little bit of like a chill ep, and we could do a spicy one.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Dan.
Hi there.
What would you like to talk about today?
Yo, so I've been hearing the arguments that you guys have been making about why women should be more, I guess, liberated, and that's fine. But so far, it's gotten out of hand, and we're ending up with single mothers. Women that are lonely, bitter.
And
yeah.
sorry, just to be clear, if there's a single mother, that's because she spawned a baby out of nowhere and a man had nothing to do with that, and then she chose to just have a baby on her own most of the time.
Well, yeah, she chose badly, and if she had followed the Bible,
she chose
for example,
badly. She chose
Mhm.
badly, and that's not. So we're blaming the bad behavior of the man on the woman and not on the man.
Well, the woman should have had, better sense and chosen properly. Had she been a religious woman,
the man should not be held responsible for his actions there.
Well, men that do this are usually trash men that go around impregnating women, So women like chasing the top, the top level of men, and then they get pregnant and cry about it. So
wait, so then
So
again,
Dan,
hold on, Dan. Man, wait, Dan. Women are chasing the top echelon of men, and these top echelon of men are also so shitty that they're leaving these women single women, and that is also also the women's fault. But this is also the top echelon of men. So who else are these women supposed to go after if this is the top echelon of men? How are they supposed to choose better?
Hardworking men. The humble, hardworking men.
And I'm supposed to believe. You worded these people as the upper echelon. So why would I not believe that they would? Why would I believe that they're a bad choice?
Because usually upper echelon men, when they get free things thrown at them, for example, right, like women, they're gonna take advantage of it and then toss.
So those are not upper echelon. That's not an upper echelon human being, as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't describe them that way.
I mean, you still choose them though, right? I mean, how many men have you been with, right?
Not your business. And also, I would rank them.
Are you ashamed? Are you ashamed?
I want to ask.
No, Dan, it's just not your business, you weirdo.
I'm already so close to dropping the phone call, but I just want to ask you a question. Do you consider yourself to be a man that women should want to be with?
Absolutely, yes.
Cool. Can you tell me why? Because based off of how you've treated us in this phone call, I think you're a piece of shit.
Well, I'm a hardworking guy, right? I'm loyal, right? I don't go around cheating, using women like the guys that you like going after that use women and cheat on them, and then they cry about it later on. I'm a theist. I follow the Bible, which teaches me morals. Unlike secular people, so that's why.
Cool. Let me tell you a few things real quick. What I look for in a man and what I found in my husband is absolutely loyalty, because we had a whole conversation about that. It means a very specific thing to us. I look for somebody that is hardworking and ambitious, because I am also hardworking and ambitious, and I need him to be doing his thing while I'm doing my thing, which is what's happening right now. I also look for somebody that is respectful and kind and caring and wants to have good conversation and treats me like an equal. And you haven't shown any of that in this conversation. You've shown your ass, and that's it.
Okay. Well, I mean, before you found this man, I mean, how old are you now? Like 40? Or what's your age, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 57.
57? Really?
Yep.
Okay, well,
yep.
I mean, how long did it take you to find this man, first of all?
I found him when I was 5 years old. We've been together since then.
Look, I don't know. Do you have a Christian family? I think I recall you have a Christian family. This is promised.
My
correct?
family are Scientologists.
Oh, that's crazy. I don't know about that. So, regardless, if you did find a man and you kept yourself for him, then yeah, I mean, I apologize to you. But if you did not, and you just, ran around, meeting man after man, then that's the problem that that's why I'm here.
Are you changing the topic, Dan? Because we were talking about why someone would ever want to be with you. And you've completely failed. You've completely failed to deliver. And so I'm going to stick with the way that I live my life, because it's brought me an incredible relationship with a really amazing human, to where I never have to have conversations like this, other than when I'm getting paid to do it, like right now.
Dan,
Right.
I also would like to run something by you. There's evidence to show that people who have multiple partners are more likely to have healthier, more satisfying long-term relationships versus people who have one. So that, yes. So that would sort of undo your whole theory.
Wait, so who ran these tests? Was it some biased group that just wanted to prove that?
I think it was your mom, actually.
No, No, it was there. This has been proven a handful of times, or hasn't been proven because human beings are complex, so it's hard to prove something like that. But it has been a theory that has been explored many times. So it's very hard for us to draw a direct line because everybody's experience is going to be really different. But there is no evidence to show that people who have one single partner or two partners their whole lives have happy, successful relationships. And there are people who actually have relationships that show the contrary. So I don't really know why you think that your way is the only way.
Yes, because I don't like my women used, for example. That's the problem, you know.
Okay, so that's okay. So that's kind of what I thought was happening.
Can I tell
here.
you what is happening here? Dan doesn't know how to please women, and he's concerned that if he gets with a woman who knows what pleasure is like because she's figured out her body and what she wants, then they're going to reject him. That's what's going on.
No, thank you. I don't want that. That's the thing. I don't want that. Like, I don't want a woman that already has experience, like, with other men. You know, that's disgusting.
Exactly. Thank you.
Why
thank
is
you
that,
for announcing
Dan,
it.
Why is that disgusting? Why would that be disgusting, but it would not be disgusting for a man to have sex with several people?
Well, I didn't say that, you know, so I do disagree that men should not also be promiscuous. But, you know, it's women who hold the lock and the man, well, the key or the lock, whatever that analogy is. So
you should probably know what you're talking about if you're going to say shit.
Well,
Dan,
do.
also,
you know what I'm saying.
Dan, that analogy is so offensive because I am not a key or a lock, and neither are you. I'm a human being, and
he might be a
woman's vagina does not change based on the amount of partners that they have. That is a scientific fact. The hymen does not break. So there is no biological way to determine whether someone is a virgin or not. That is made up by purity culture to control women's choices. That's not real.
I'm just saying that,
and I'm telling you from a scientific...
Right. What happened? What was that?
From a scientific standpoint, there is no difference between a person who has had sex with multiple partners and a person who has not. So your judgment of these people is purely that. It's judgment. And that's one thing that Christians are not supposed to do, is judge others. That's like Jesus's main message, is not to judge other people. And still you insist on doing that.
So we just let them do whatever they want, even if it harms society.
Yes, you let them do whatever they want.
Yes, you let other humans do what they want to do. That's exactly right, Dan.
That's impossible.
Why?
So if they decide
if you're not hurting anybody else.
Alyssa and I are doing what we want to do, despite how much that bothers you.
That's fine. I mean, your life is being harmed, and you're harming people around you, and that's your choice.
No, I have a really great life, and I'm not harming people.
Who am I harming?
Well, how many hearts have you broken? How many children have you aborted? You know, there's lots of things.
Never aborted a child. People break hearts whether they have sex or not.
Still, that's a problem. You're
what are you
your
talking about?
Beings. I mean, you may not be, but you're advocating for other women to do the same. So maybe you haven't done it, but many other women have. I'm advocating for people to make whatever
choice that they would like to make.
Right.
And you are advocating for controlling other people's choices.
Right. Because we do need control. Humans do need to have some sort of laws and order. Oh, no?
Not
we should be free to do whatever we please.
Not in our sexuality do we need control.
Well, if you can't control one aspect of humanity, then what makes you think that others, why control anything at all if we can't just...
So Dan, then let's go down the route. Do you think that people harm others with their words? That we can hurt each other's feelings based off of words? Do you think that's a thing that's real?
Of
Cool. Then
Yeah.
we should ban you from ever calling here based off of the way you talk because you sound like an ass. So if we're going to go with that train of thought, if we're just going to control other people because we don't like what they do, then why wouldn't we start with something that impacts everyone all the time, like words? Why are we not banning people's words? Because we believe in freedom and we want people to have autonomy over what they communicate and what they do. If you start harming somebody, there are consequences, either natural ones or ones from law. If you go and you rape somebody, then the law is supposed to follow up and prevent that from happening. But we have laws in place for the harm. We have laws in place for the harm caused by sex acts. There is no harm being caused in consensual moments between adults.
Yes, there
and
are.
people getting their hearts broken.
Dan,
nope, Dan. People getting their hearts broken and people getting their feelings hurt, or people like you getting your ego shattered because you didn't get the woman you wanted, does not mean that you get to legislate other people's bodies and what they can and can't do with them.
Wait,
Dan, you want to know some? Do you want to know some? Dan, you want to know something that I think is going to break your brain and you're going to hate it? I think that a person who has sex with a new person every single day, a person who has orgies every weekend, and would never pass a judgment on anyone else and is clear and consensual every time they do those activities is an infinitely better person than I think that you are. Because you think that it is more important to judge everyone else. I knew I was going to make him upset. He couldn't even hear the whole thing. Oh, dang. That's sad. Well,
what an unpleasant person.
Back to the incel forum, I suppose.
That's how when it comes to the argument about not to like get you in trouble again, but about like being nice to men, this is when I don't think that is required at all. And we've had these conversations with callers like this where we entertain the conversation and we take them seriously. Obviously, I wasn't taking him seriously. Obviously, I gave him fake answers for stuff because that's how serious he's being. Saying the dumbest shit I've ever heard. I'm going to say dumb shit back to you because that's what you get. If you don't treat me like an equal human being, then I am not going to engage honestly with you at all. It's just so
that
gross.
Was crazy. It also, again, it like always cracks me up that it's always people who want to be like Christian and then pass all of the judgment in the world. It's just like so comical at this point. It's the same way that when we get comments on our Instagram that are like, you whore, and then you check their bio and it's like John 3:16. I'm like, of course, like literally
right, the
of
worst
course.
People.
It's like I would love for them to prove me wrong, and they just don't. And we were nice for a really long time. I was super nice for a really long time.
You look more great. So than I was.
You look great for 57.
Thank you. I love that one. That's usually my go-to, as I'll just answer some wildly different answer for that because they think it's an insult to say that I'm in my 40s, which I can't wait to be in my 40s. Hitting my 30s is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Also, then the question of why did it take, like, you're in your 40s, why did it take you so long to find your husband? Well, he was living in Finland and I was living in Atlanta. So we can start there. He didn't even live in this country. That's just ridiculous. And boys like that, they are upset that they don't get to control their own life. They feel powerless in their own life. They feel insecure. And instead of self-reflecting or instead of getting frustrated with the systems in society that you and I are also frustrated with, they have to hate women because whatever issues they have internally, that's the only way they know how to handle them. And it's sad. It's also scary because that's just the tip of the iceberg is whatever we heard from him about what he thinks. I don't know how that plays out in his personal life. I can't imagine that it's good for any woman that ever crosses his path.
Yeah, I'm sure it's bad. He is exactly the kind of person that if I were to interact with him in a public place, I would hold my glass like this.
I would hold mine upside down over his head.
Right. And like to be so honest, I wanted to keep him on the call because I wanted the clip from him, and I will be making the clip, and I will be really thrilled for all of the monetization of that clip. So thank you for making me more money, Dan, by being a literal loser. And I hope that one day you get laid. It won't be anytime soon, not with that fucking attitude. Yeah, best of luck with your endeavors, dude. I'm sure it's going really well for you. Anyway, shall we do super chats?
Super chats. Let's do it. $5 from Zurith Moonpaw. Great valiant mistresses of the awesomeness. Grant me your wisdom. I seek random knowledge. That's what we have to offer is a lot of,
I love it.
Mostly me, random knowledge. Alyssa has actually helpful knowledge, but I got a bunch of random shit.
No, you have extremely, literally the friend who was watching texted me, was like, I've never heard of someone on a show be like, I'm actually not interested in the argument you called for. And he was like, that is a boss ass bitch. And I was like, correct. Exactly.
I don't want to waste our time.
I know. I love it. $4.99 from Sarah Talks Podcast. I appreciate everything you do. Thanks for being my safe space. Thank you, Sarah. I saw in the chat you were also saying that you would love to call in sometime. Please call in. We would love to chat with you. Anytime.
Please. €5 from Jazzy Bass Benny. Thanks for your educating work. I'm curious, is Promise your new alias/nickname? Promise is actually my real name, unfortunately. That is the name I was given at birth. And, I even thought about changing it a few years ago, but for me, part of my process has just been accepting my name. There's a lot of positive attachments to it. And along with negative, because obviously it's a very religious name. And so I decided to start using it again because Eve was my account name. And then people just started calling me Eve and I went with it. But I want to use my regular name because it was getting to the point that everybody was calling me Eve. Like Alyssa and Jimmy knew me as Eve and stuff just because it makes it easier to call me that on the show. And I was like, you know what? I really just want to feel like less compartmentalized. It was making me feel a little bit too much like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce. And I just wanted to like be one person all the time. So yes, exactly.
$5 from Coffee Mom. When a stranger asks if you believe in God, they're actually asking if you believe women are subservient to men and sex is a mutually exclusive binary. I don't disagree with you because I think if a stranger
more and more.
Yeah, like if a stranger is asking you that, I'm a little skeptical because go away. Respectfully.
Don't follow Doug. Promise and Alyssa have a great podcast, and they even let Jimmy come on. Jimmy would love that really messy phrasing right there too, because all we do is accidentally say things in the dirtiest way possible on the podcast and then like giggle like schoolgirls the whole time.
Correct. $5 from Heathen Granny. I don't really see women, LGBTQ people, or BIPOC people believing in God to be beneficial to us. Also, God is the reason why I'm colonized AF. Yeah.
Yep.
True.
$10 from Heathen Granny. Let's start off with the daily prayer in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I wish you would F off and leave us alone and leave the rest of humanity alone. Amen.
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 $9.99 from DeLorean237. I love Promise, but my girlfriend's name is Alyssa, so if I have to pick a favorite,
very
Alyssa's
smart.
rule.
Very smart. $10 from Monkey a Typewriter. I've been mulling over a call topic lately relating to male loneliness. I feel like there's a group between r/nice guys and men who have actual social skills, and I'd like to talk about how to bridge it. Please call with that. I think that would be a great conversation.
Oh my God. I think I've never seen r/nice guys, and I feel like I have to like do something with that. I have to make content with that. So thank you for bringing that up. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm scared. Thank you, Will. $5 from More Ron. My mom said don't run with scissors. My dad said don't scissor with the runs. Hashtag confused.
Oh God. Ugh. I hate it.
That's
I hate it.
crazy. And I agree with both.
£5 from Mystic Minds Analysis Tavern. Don't forget to commit the sin of empathy today. We will hold the line, pun intended, together. Yes, the sin of empathy.
Hilarious.
Alyssa, do you know what that's in reference to?
No, but
Okay, remember that bishop? We talked about it on the podcast a few episodes
Oh,
ago.
yes.
And
I
now
know.
people are saying that that empathy is a sin. Somebody, I think, tweeted something or whatever. Anyways.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mystic.
And it's also like, even without the context, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, just unfortunately.
Yep.
$5 from the Raven 200. Everyone be sure to give that like button a kiss on the forehead after you're done consensually clapping its thick cheeks.
Yes,
I love
hit
it.
the like button. And if you guys would please go over to The Line Has a Podcast YouTube and subscribe there. That would be amazing. Add it to your Spotify playlist. That helps all of us keep doing what we're doing here on The Line as well, especially because this is a new project. So the more clicks and likes it's getting right now, the better. And the more chance we have of making more episodes and doing more with it in the future. And we were just talking today about some really cool guests that we want to bring on, guests that we probably wouldn't like necessarily have on a call-in show too, because sometimes that's a weirder format for some people, but I think they're people y'all would like to hear from. So help us out.
And I also am super open to feedback on things that you would like on the podcast too, because sometimes I think like when we're talking about just these topics, and like this is really more of like an Eve, Jimmy, and I thing that we get to decide, but I would love feedback because sometimes when we talk about these things, I'm like, oh my God, is this just really depressing to listen to? So I would love to know, is it depressing to listen to, or do we make it fun? Or like, I don't know. Anything would be helpful.
$5. Is this one me? Am I?
I don't remember.
$5 for Monkey at Typewriter. Regarding the smart/funny/pretty, I take pretty every time. Practically is the most useful. Pretty privilege is real, as is the opposite. I know. Here's the thing. We're all going to end up dead, first of all, and our bodies are all just going to rot. We're all, hopefully, we're not all, but hopefully we get old and we age. And the more I start experiencing aging, the more I'm just like, that's so cool to be here in life and be participating in this part. And the things that people think are so hot and cool and trendy and beautiful and pretty, everyone is so all over the place anyways, and it changes and it goes away. I would take humor or knowledge any day over those, because those are things. I get it. I get that certain things can get you in a room, but those are the things that make people want you to keep staying in the room, because eventually, we all get tired of looking at shit, and eventually that shit stops looking so great anyways. I want to hear things that are entertaining or that are inspiring, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I would rather be with someone who's funny than someone who's pretty. I think there's I have a little bit of, I get nervous around people who are too pretty. I'm like, well, certainly they can't be smart or funny, which is a me thing, something for me to look at. But I don't know. I would rather when someone's talking about me, like when they describe me, I would hope that they would say things about my personality before they say things about how I look in general. But anywho, $5 from Bobby Keniston. Questions for Alyssa's dog. Let's ask. Have you noticed that God spelled backwards is dog? What do you think it means? Also, what should I do with my life, Bonnie? Riveting. Thank you. I hope that was helpful. Also, we love you, Bobby.
£10 from Herbie Shine. Going to have to catch up later today. Going to bed now. As Promise can testify, my genius humor couldn't be any better than it is. So I'd want to be much prettier. My jolly old hell. Aw, your sense of humor is on point. My favorite Facebook comments every time. They're the best.
10. What is that?
Wow.
That's a new currency.
South Korean won.
15,000. Wow.
Very cool.
Okay. 15,000 South Korean, what is it? Won, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so
God.
much. From Zachary Cates to Amir, why go with a profit model for talking that can so easily be abused? Why not talk with every person simultaneously and prevent power-hungry people from claiming they speak for God? I would also like to know. It's a great point.
Yep. Also, I meant to read this one. Morgan sent it to me. We had someone named NK donated $9.99. So thank you so much for that. I think for whatever reason it didn't come through on here or something. Anyways, $5 from Moira Bannister. Which one, Amir, is the brain complex or simple? OMFG. I know that was all over the place, and that's what happens. The more confusing a call is, it's the more dishonest it is, in my perspective. Because if there's one thing I'm going to do, it's ask a very basic, pointed question that almost always can be answered in one sentence and sometimes in one word. And once somebody is unable to engage in that and they're just giving questions back and going off the rails, then I'm like, well, you're not even listening. You're not participating. So also, Moira, I know I say this every time, but I love your name so much.
Yeah, it's such a good name. 1999 from Cody Cooper. Don't understand why theists like Amir would rather accept a life with suffering controlled by some god and give it credit for its accomplishments than take charge of their life and be proud they are in control and make it good. Thank you, Cody. I want to put that on my fucking forehead. I don't get it. I don't understand. And I think the main reason is because then that means that they have to take responsibility for the awful shit that humans do too. Because like we all get to take some sort of shared responsibility of like the human race as a whole. And I don't think that people want to do that because that's way harder and way uglier.
Yep. Is this one mine? $4.99 from Sarah Talks Podcast. Yet another episode where female hosts get spoken over. It happens. Yeah. I'm just learning to speak back over them too. So now it's a bad habit, but whatever.
Whatever. $5 from Squidward Q Sagan. We're going to make it, y'all. I don't know where we're making it, but we are.
With the help of my Minecraft and my slime. That's literally what I'm going to do after this. I'm going to go sit in my heated bed. I'm going to put my weighted blanket on me. I'm going to get my iPad and I'm going to get slime so that one hand has some slime, one hand is Minecrafting. And then I'm going to have a side table for this amazing boxed wine a company sent me. Nobody sends me anything because I'm so controversial. And Grazie sent me one. It's actually really good, you guys. So I don't mind giving them a shout out again. It's GRATSI.
I afterwards I'm going to text you because I feel like if I'm getting things, you certainly can get things. I don't know. We'll discuss after.
Let's chat. I'll give you my wine contact. Maybe you can get me some makeup or something.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's doable. Did we read that one?
Did we skip the last one? I don't think we read it.
I think we did.
That was our bad. We were just chatting.
Sorry,
we're just
Morgan.
having fun.
We were yapping. Okay, $5 from Monkey a Typewriter. Mirror's Pattern. Pretend to listen. Strawman. How do you say that? What's that?
Interlocutors.
I was on the right track. Interlocutors. Position. Return to baseless assertion. Claim that it is self-evident. Repeat ad nauseum. That is exactly what he did.
Yeah, and that's why sorry guys, if somebody was like really excited for that conversation, just go search. Forrest and I had a whole long call with him. Matt, I think, banned him, if I'm remembering correctly. So, we've had that talk before. $10 from the Raven 200. Even if you can't convince me a God exists, you haven't convinced me to follow it. If you somehow convince me of the Abrahamic God, that God is my opposition. Jimmy, go take a Moon Tiara action by Sailor Moon. Yes, and that's the other problem, is I did not like how that conversation started, because Amir started with the let's talk about following this God. And it's like, we can't even get to that point if you can't convince me this God exists. Right. But I can actually already go ahead and tell you, I don't want to follow a God that creates or upholds a hierarchy like that. So, anyways.
Yeah. $5 for Moira Bannister. The watchmaker fallacy is that, never mind, Promise explained it perfectly. We have evidence of watchmakers. We don't have evidence of sand makers or beach makers. Period.
Yep.
Exactly.
$5 from Arby. Alyssa, what is your fave A Day to Remember song? I used to be a screamer when living in Nashville, and we covered Mr. Highway's Thinking About the End. I love A Day to Remember.
I love A Day to Remember too. And you want to know what's so funny? Okay, actually, they have a new song called Feedback, and I love that song.
I don't think I've heard it.
It's new. It came out, actually, I guess it's like not that new now. Let me see when it came out. It came out It came out, it came out at the end of last year, and it's really good. But I also am kind of an old school Day to Remember fan. Like, I haven't listened to a lot of their new stuff. But I think I like the Homesick album a lot. And they also do a cover of Since You've Been Gone that will be on every playlist I ever make until I die. So
I love that cover so much. My favorite song of theirs, which probably people think I'm lame for this, but I can't help it because the nostalgia attached to it, because I listened to it over and over and over again when I went to college, was If It Means a Lot to You.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. That's what I'm saying. Like, I saw them at When We Were Young, and they were amazing. And when they were doing When We Were Young, it was God, I love it. And even then, they did a lot of their old songs, and they did a few of their new ones, and it's so great. But yeah, Homesick is my favorite album, and the For Those Who Have Heart album also. I love that album too.
$10 from Clever Name 2. Arguing with a mirror is like arguing with a tape recorder, not worth anyone's time. Yeah. That's kind of how I felt.
$10 from SJL. I'm waiting for an argument of, if I find a lasagna growing in the woods, would you believe in a god? Changing the designed object doesn't make it a new argument.
I wish somebody would call and say that. That would be so much more entertaining. That's why I like to say ridiculous things like a unicorn thing or whatever, just because if we're going to talk about absurd things, can we actually make it absurd and make it fun to engage with the topic, Anyways.
Yeah. I agree.
$5 from the Raven 200. Amir definitely uses a script, or he's incapable of mentally venturing outside his box. Speaking of scripts, remember to pray for 3 days straight. Oh my God. I think I heard that Forrest got another one of those calls Sunday night. It's a whole
bizarre.
Thing. It's so weird. Yeah.
One time when somebody calls, I want to just ask them, I'm like, I want to ask them, where are you getting this from and what?
Which Discord are you on?
Yeah, I genuinely want to know what the origin is of the 3-day prayer situation.
I fear they are just trolls, though. Because basically they have this long argument that goes on and on, doesn't really get anywhere. And then all of them end with, the few that I've taken so far, all of them end with, suddenly they start getting more frantic, basically as soon as you corner them. And then they're like, but you have to pray for 3 days. But it seems very trolly. It doesn't seem like people actually calling in that believe that you have to pray for 3 days straight. So
yeah.
It's part of a hardcore Catholic tradition.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, I get that that's where they've taken it from. I don't know the source of this particular group of callers. Is this me?
I think it's me. I don't know. $10 from Skydiver Tanner. I have a fiance whose drag name is the original Eve. I got them the Promise Eve was framed mug, but we need a Disobey sweatshirt for them to wear in drag as the original Eve. Yes.
I'm making a note because I won the competition. Thank you, everybody. Love you all. I'm supposed to get that design put on other merch on the line. So I'm going to ask where that is. Sorry, Alyssa, you were saying.
I was going to say you also need to get her Worship Nothing sweatshirt. I got so many DMs the day that I wore it yesterday. I got so many DMs and people were like, this is so cool. Where's this from? And I was like, I know it is. And it's my friend's merch.
Okay.
It's
Do you know what's
so good?
What's really crazy is so I'm working on different merch things because people have been asking for it and I have ideas and I'm going to put them out and go to Fiverr and find somebody. And I was like, I don't know how to use computers. I barely know how to do any of the things I do. But I also I knew what I wanted and I knew it was so simple. I was like, there's got to be a way I can make this on my own. And be so proud of me because I went to Canva and I made that all by myself. I did it all on my own.
And it's perfect. I literally would not change a thing. It's perfect.
Thank you. I actually think the hoodie is really comfy too. I've been wearing it all week. It's like a very, very comfy hoodie.
It's super comfy and it has like the drawstrings are like thick and pretty. They're like really nice. It's really nice and very comfy, obviously.
I was very pleased. Thanks. Yeah. $5 from Monkey at Typewriter. Dan saying women are bitter is some fucking IMAX laser show at the Hoover Dam level projection. But Dan's not bitter at all. Yeah. I mean, forget the topic of the conversation. Forget that it's about women and that I'm a woman or whatever. Somebody calling in to make a blanket statement about an entire other people group and saying, and something so personal, like applying an emotion, like to say, oh, they're all angry or they're all happy even, or they're all something, automatically you have just announced that you do not know how to think because you've just decided that an entire people group have this one emotion, which lets me know, like you pointed out here, that you are projecting. So.
Mm-hmm. Correct. That's so funny. IMAX laser show at the Hoover Dam. $5 from Alejandra Arambula. There we go. I'm here for pro level promise trolling. First thing that has made me smile today. Yes, that was very funny. I was like not anticipating you doing
Glad
that.
I could give you a smile.
Everyone after the first, I was like, oh my God, this is great.
I usually am like on the more serious end of things. And this time I was just like, I don't have it in me. And I knew that you could handle the call just fine on not that you can't handle any of them, but I was like, this is her domain. Like she's got this. She doesn't need my help. So I'm just going to fuck around.
I was like,
you were in it. It was great.
Oh, I was in it. I was
$10 from Roland Bach. I was a reborn Christian. AO was MTWX wife. Wait, what am I not?
My ex-wife.
Here?
Oh, my ex-wife. Okay.
She cheated on me, ultimately abandoned me and our 2 kids for another guy. So sorry. Yeah, exactly. So that shows, I mean, also my worst relationship experiences were with Christian, like good Christian men that I saved myself for and re-saved myself for. You know, it doesn't, it's just a ridiculous argument. So.
$5 from Monkey at Typewriter. Dan, if she's been with other guys, she'll realize what a poor excuse for a sexual partner I am. And it's not like I can fall back on my personality. That's the vibe that that's the vibe that people give when they say this. It's like the lack of confidence is just so loud. And like, even if that's not true, it's like I hope they realize that's the vibe they give.
Yep. $5 from Moira Bannister. Dan is a teen who never touched a breast ever, not even his own.
Truly.
Yeah, that was really rough.
I get it. Dan has clearly been rejected by the one woman who's designed to touch his weenie. She's such a soft and tender little soul with a little wee-wee. Yeah. It's okay, Dan.
$10 from, I'm making you say it
Mr.
because I love, you usually do like your little flair and I love it. Good grief. Rejected pronouns. Dan, the garbage woman. Get dinged in the head with proper respect, lady. Not cool. She sounds like Ben Shapiro. Sicker. Be well, Promise and Alyssa. Keep jamming out. We didn't even touch on the fact that he, yes, quote, rejected pronouns. Because a lot of times I'm just like, thank you for letting me know that you're that kind of person. But usually it's like, what's the point of even going down that conversation with somebody?
Yeah.
And this one, correct. He had even worse opinions than the idea that like pronouns shouldn't be used. So
it's also, I wish we should just start calling people who do that. I mean, it's really only men that have done that, and we should just start using female pronouns for them.
random
Like
pronouns
femme
throughout.
pronouns for them. Yeah. Yeah. Or yeah, just like switch them up. Oh my God.
That's what I would like to do. Just until they're like that one. Oh, that's the preferred pronoun for you. Okay, great. We'll go mark that now since you wouldn't do it at the beginning of the call.
Right. Exactly. $5 from Luke Anderson. Nobody should talk to Dan for free. He chooses less handsome, less smart, and zero funny. If Dan was created, the dice were cruel. He should reroll.
Oh man,
that's awesome. That was really good.
That's the funny thing. You never get a phone call like that from somebody that is actually a good example of a good partner, which is obviously the point that I was wanting to make. It's not like you're going to get somebody calling in that's like, hey guys, just wanted to have this. Here's my thoughts. I don't think women should blah, blah, blah. No. It's always some a-hole that nobody would want
like
to
laughing
be with anyway.
And
right.
Be so fucking for real.
$5 from the Raven 200. Dan seems like the kind of person who would blame a woman for being SA'd. Yeah, I mean, that's essentially also what he was doing.
That's what he did.
Women do get pregnant from sexual assault. Who would ask, what were you wearing? Or who would ask, what were you wearing? Either a troll or a troglodyte. Yeah. I think even when people like that are, quote, just trolling, even to take that side of an argument in jest, it shows how unserious of a person you are when it comes to actual issues in life. So then I'm going to take you seriously about what you say and assume that you really are that shit of a person.
Yeah. $5 from Clever Name 2. The problem with Dan is I assume it was a troll, but if you think that's an okay thing to say as a troll, you're still a piece of shit. Literally exactly what you just said.
Exactly. Thank you.
The timing of that was crazy.
Also, I'm going to I don't know why I feel the need to, well, it's because this is the internet. I will go on the record and clarify that I was trolling back. So when I gave him all my answers about being 57 and meeting my husband at 5 and that my families are Scientologists, none of that's true. Just want to clear it up because now there's going to be a rumor spreading that my family is Scientologist or something. $5 from Aaliyah Shauna Silverbow. I wore my dad's sweatshirt to the liquor store. The 2 women behind the counter asked me about it and absolutely loved it after I explained it to them. Oh, I love that. I'm waiting for somebody to ask me about mine. It hasn't happened yet, but I kind of want to, okay, maybe the anniversary edition. What if we did a re-release of the Dath merch, but with some new fonts and colors? I think that would be fun.
Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking too, because we don't have the Dath sweatshirt in black, and I feel like that would be very nice for me personally.
And I think it would be really fun to put your Promiscuous Women, I Heart Promiscuous Women on a bunch of stuff too.
Yes. Love. $5 from Bobby Kenston. Yeah, we'll be on chat about it. I knew a guy who talked about women like Dan does at a party senior year. He touched a girl's breast, came in his pants, and ran off. He's a cop now. It's like every new piece of information in that very short message just got worse and worse and worse. God. Terrible.
$10 Canadian from Kelsey Soloway. Dan is an example of why I can't take the male loneliness epidemic seriously. Like even Alyssa, who wants to have an open mind and give them the space to express themselves, couldn't stand him. Yeah, those are the ones. I think not to speak for you, Alyssa, I think, though, most men that we're having these conversations with are not like that. Most men that we're interacting with are not outright like that. And there is space to have some civil conversation and some kindness. I'm more of a matching the energy kind of person, I think. But I think that you are too in your own way, Alyssa.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind to him until he just was rude to me. I think where I had my turning point was when he asked me how many partners I've had, which is not his fucking business.
That pissed me off. And what you guys don't know is that in the notes that we saw, so I already knew this, which is why I let Alyssa take the call from top, is it said in there that he wanted to call in to say that people should be believers so they don't end up like, quote, promise. So he's clearly already had like something out for me. So I was like, I'm just going to let Alyssa tap in here.
But it's also just like a crazy, I don't even know that I saw that's what he said. I saw angry, I saw whatever. And like that's a crazy fucking thing to say. And then he didn't even, I don't know, whatever. $5 from Jamnik06. The call with Danimal was one of the best in a while. Eve's trolling and Alyssa's and the chat's reactions priceless. #$5. Hashtag
Oh, I
not
have to go
actually
read
priceless.
I wasn't looking at the chat then, so
It was
am
really
totally
funny.
going to go look at the chat from that.
It's so worth it. It's so worth it because everyone was just kind of on the same page.
I love it.
Yeah.
$5 from Sal Willis. So glad I caught that last call. You two handled Dan like total bosses. Mad props to you both. Also, mad props to Alyssa, because if it were up to me, I was going to tell Dan to call back next week because I was like, I don't want to do this. But Alyssa
We hadn't had a
is the best.
crazy call. We hadn't had a crazy call in a while, and I felt like I'm gonna be so honest. I want to make a clip out of it, and I will. And if Dan
And I was
so
like, I'll
badly
do my
wants to
best
look
and
like
push him to give Alyssa a good clip. So
yeah, and then like literally in the messages on the side, I messaged and I was like, okay, I think we got it. We could let him go now, because like genuinely, if that's what he wants, if he wants to look like an idiot on the internet, I have no problem doing that for you. Sure,
we will accommodate. $5 from Jamnik06. This is for @moreron. Thanks for the poop joke. I don't want the poop jokes, guys.
$10 from Kath Sleep. I don't know. 79. You inspire me. Thank you so much. That's really kind, and thank you for contributing to the show. Also, we have many people in the chat saying, I hope I end up like Promise. And I fucking agree. You should be so fucking lucky to end up like Promise.
That's so sweet. Thanks, guys. I'm happy with how my life is ending up. Like 10 years ago, that was not the case. But $4.99 from Poor Claire. A lot of people on Facebook are mad about Beyonce winning Best Country Album. What do y'all think about it? First of all, I think a lot of that is ridiculous. My thoughts on like Grammys and all of that in general are whatever. Now, surface level, I think it's amazing. I think she absolutely deserved it. And it's crazy that the CMAs just completely ignored her. And I mean, it's not crazy. Look at the audience that they like, look at the members, like that makes sense. It's some of the worst opinions all in one room. With the all writing the exact same song over and over and over again. And they don't want to make space for people that know how to elevate it and make it better. Anyways, I think it's great. I love that she won. What do you think, Alyssa?
I think I'm not like a big country music person, and I listened to that album, and that alone feels like, why wouldn't you, as part of the country music community, why wouldn't you want other people to be listening to country that wouldn't have listened to it before? If you love country music so much, aren't you so happy that someone who's as massive as her created something that is country for everyone to enjoy? Like, why would you not? I mean, at the end of the day, it's just people being racist. It's people being contrarian. It's people just wanting to make a problem out of it because she's Beyonce. So people really hate to see other women win like that. Like we see it with Taylor Swift. We see it with Beyonce. Like it's just whatever. Yep. Losers. $5 from the Raven 200. Happy the Lion has a podcast day. Jimmy, go take a fire style dragon flame loud singing jutsu by Sadara. You guys, I can't read the rest of that. That's not well. You guys, at 9:04 p.m. You can all read. You see what it says?
Yeah. We see it. It's there.
You see it.
$4.99 from NK. Please do a subject on Christian conspiracy theories that are running around right now. There's a lot. I feel like Skeptalk is also a great place to call in with those. They cover, if I'm correct, I think that's what they talk about more over there. But yeah, there's always so many Christian conspiracy theories, and now just like the right-wing conspiracies because of planes crashing and all that. We talk about it a little bit on the podcast too. Not to keep talking about the podcast, but I'm gonna keep talking about the podcast. So
yeah. $4.99 from Homespun Covers. Is it disrespectful when talking to lesbians whose pronouns are she/her to say, is it okay with you guys using slang like dude or bro with being serious? I don't think it's a problem, but also you could just probably ask them. They would know best what they're comfortable with. But I think that's like, it's clear enough that they that's like slang. I think it's fine.
I'm the worst person to ask because I say dude, bro, and you guys all the time because I hate saying y'all. But then I say that. So I say you guys a few times for different cases. I've stopped myself and thought, you know what? I don't know if this particular person might appreciate not being referred to as part of a you guys or dude bro thing. And so I have no, like, it's easy to just switch that and not do that. So I think what Alyssa said, ask them or just switch it. If there's ever a concern, like if I ever think that I might possibly be hurting somebody's feelings and it costs me nothing to just recalibrate and switch to different language, then that's so like, why wouldn't I do that, you know?
Yeah.
$5 from Moira Bannister. I'm hot AF for a AMAB, assigned male at birth, middle-aged woman. Yes, you are, Moira.
Period.
And again, your name. I really appreciate you supporting the show, but I also appreciate getting to say your name over and over again because Moira is just like, there's something about it. It's just so beautiful.
Feels good in your mouth. It's good. It's good stuff.
That is what she said.
Yeah, girl. $5 from Moira Bannister. I guarantee nobody who asks you to pray for 3 days has ever done it ever. I know. That's what I think all the time too.
Which is funny because I actually have done that. So,
and look where we are. Look where we ended up.
Look at us. $5 from Skydiver Tanner. Oh, follow up. Cadis is totally music the original Eve would perform to. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
I love it.
Do y'all want to know a secret that I'm not gonna like say anywhere else? So it'll just be like our little secret.
I love secrets.
My husband's probably listening right now. He's like, "Why are you saying this?" He doesn't care. He's used to just me doing whatever the hell I want. We're just gonna like drop an album. Probably, I would say in the next month, but we're just gonna drop an album. We're not gonna like.
Oh my God.
Talk about it before. We're not gonna. We have a bunch of stuff almost done, and now we're working on a bunch of other stuff. But it'll be a full-length album again. This time, it's not a what do you call it? Concept record. And so it's more of a like '90s vibey record. So, anyways,
I'm so excited.
Little chewed gum sneak peek.
An exclusive. Wow, how blessed are we? 2 in a year. I love it. In a year's time. I mean, less than that. It's been like 6 months. That came out in like the fall?
October, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, wow. We're so lucky. I'm so excited. Okay. We'll keep our eyes out. $5 from SJL. Shh, don't tell callers like Amir and Dan that they not only provide clips, they inspire super chats. I know. That's why I'm like,
all the things.
I know we've gotten so many super chats tonight, like more than we have in a while, and I feel like it's because we had like these big dummies.
Thanks, guys. $50 from Moira Bannister. Oh, thank you, Moira. Seriously, promise and Alyssa equal most talented hosts on the line. Oh, thank you.
That was really kind and really generous.
That's
thank you, Moira.
Very kind.
We love you.
That's going toward the Alyssa laptop fund.
Oh, I know. This poor girl. $10 from Cathis Leap 79. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. What happened in our world that people have become so proud of being stupid? Oh my God. So sorry. I am sleepy. I'm so sorry. What happened in our world that people have become so proud of being stupid? I see it coalescing around Trump, but is he a symptom of something larger? Yeah, for sure. I think he's because these people have been stupid their whole lives, and Trump has only been running for president in the past 8-9 years.
Well, and we have an education issue. The pride part,
for sure,
I think, is absolutely coming from people realizing that you can be president of the United States if you just have some dogma that you cling to. You don't have to be right. You don't have to tell the truth. You don't have to be knowledgeable about what you're talking about. You can just be prideful. And what they don't understand is that they are being taken advantage of because they're not millionaires or billionaires. They don't actually get to become president. They don't actually get to buy their way into the White House. So they are being sold a false promise that if you behave in this way, despite the fact that we're going to make it even more difficult for you to get a proper education, I need to stop because I'll just keep going down that rabbit hole because that's a whole thing for me. But yes, it is a problem. $5 from Moira Bannister. Oh, is this you?
No, I think it's you. I was going to say it was you.
Nah, playettes. You both fine AF. I like playettes. That's cute.
It's cute. $5 from the Raven 200. If we're talking the Grammys, shout out to Kendrick Lamar for winning 5 straight Grammys for Not Like Us Alone. I'm unapologetically a Drake hater. That was also, it was so funny. Yeah, same. And also it was so funny and so like, it felt like we got him when they played it and the whole crowd
Everyone
is going
screamed A minor.
Yeah. It was awesome. And I was like, if I were Drake, I would literally crawl into a hole and never come out, which is what we hope happens, actually.
Yeah. $5 from Jamie M. Promise with Danimal. Love you so much. Sorry, guys. I had to just let my unhinged side come out.
That was
for that
so
call.
funny. It was so funny. I loved it. $5 from the Raven 200. And now the most important knowledge any of you could ever know. Butts. That is all. Love it. That is very important.
$5 from President Starscream. Hey, Dan, don't make shit bad. Take your sad life and make it better. Remember to let love into your heart and you can start to make it better. Okay, sorry. Now I see where that was going. I should have sang it, but now I'm glad I didn't recognize it so that I didn't have to sing it. Did we lose Alyssa? Is she only frozen on my end?
Either that or she's doing a really good job of pretending.
She's real frozen, guys. Well, I'll keep reading these until she's back. Oh, wait, there. Oh, maybe she's back. Are you with us?
I'm kind of back. My computer was doing really well for so long, and now it's starting to get.
Why. Okay,
this
we'll
is
get
real.
Through these fast. $5 from Jamnik06. Do you think Dan will ever make it better? Nah. I'm not going to sing because Jemmy will be way too happy because his whole thing is to try to get me to. But Alyssa can sing it. Or she can't because her laptop is not going to work. Yeah, I'll wrap these up fast because if I know where this is going, it's going in the direction of Alyssa's laptop not functioning the rest of the night. $5 from Aaliyah Shauna Silveruo. I promise I've been a listen into the Line Has a Podcast. That's really good. That's solid. Oh, we're getting feedback. $5 from Mr. Boracoa. I probably still said that wrong. 10. New album with 90s vibe. Gonna be singing nothing but vowels. Nah, kidding. I'd love to hear it. Keep at it, promise. No, it's gonna be, I mean, I'm a writer. Like, I love to write a lot of words, so it's gonna be kind of wordy. But on that note, thank you guys so much. Enjoy watching Alyssa freeze over and over and over again. I'm glad that God waited till the end of this show to fuck with her laptop, and we at least got to get through all of these callers. But thank you guys so much for the support, for the super chats, and for being there in the chat, and for moderating. Thank you so much to our call screener, Jess. That was so amazing for you to step in. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment after the show is up, all the things. Thank you, Morgan. Oh, and Alyssa's now just DJing with this great sound for us. And thanks to our Patreon producers. Love you guys.